Thoreau called it. And this later, his book or essay, which retitled Civil Disobedience. There's so many examples of it that Father Louis fits into, and it is a great honor to be here with him. But I think it's important that he understand, and I'm sure he does, the long historical position that he places himself when he allows the American military and government to jail him, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, and so many others. And I think also Rachel Corrie is someone who stood up against military aggression.
Louder, please.
Yeah. The thing that's interesting about what Thoreau did was that he was opposed to slavery. It was the 1840s. And he was opposed to the Mexican-American War. And he, in effect, put forward this notion that, you know, by and large, people should be living with one another. He used some kind of phrase like getting off of another man's back or something like that, that we should just leave other people alone, and at the same time created the moral imperative that you should oppose governmental action that you don't agree with. Now, as I reflect on it, I think, well, there are a lot of things the government does that I don't agree with. So when is it that it becomes something that you have to take a step forward on, like allowing yourself to be jailed? Isn't it, in effect, that you're saying that you're so opposed to something that you no longer want to be free in that civil society, because to do so is to make you guilty of engaging in that conduct? I think I was thinking of Mario Savio, who led the free speech movement, or one of the leaders of the free speech movement in Berkeley, and he related it to a notion of extremism. It's when the government acts in such an extreme way that your conscience dictates that you have to act a certain way. What I think is important about Father Louis' work and all of those who fight the School of the Americas is that it is, in effect, drawing a clear line in crossing that line and saying, it's not okay, we're not going to allow this to take place. Interestingly, I think that there is a political corollary to this, but we don't think of it this way. In our American governmental system, there is a way that you can engage in civil disobedience if you're a member of the United States Senate. What would it be? It would be that you filibuster. It would be that you, in effect, find something so ugly that you're not going to play by rules of majority rule or supermajority rule, but you say that a principled minority can stop action on something, and you're willing to undergo the wrath of the public, potentially, of your colleagues, and you're willing to lose your seat if the public doesn't agree with you. You know, to stop a filibuster, which would in effect stop any war appropriation. Father Louis, I noticed in your letter from the Imperial Jail, you talk about the need to end the Iraq War. In effect, it's that a cloture vote to stop debate in the Senate requires 60 senators to vote with it. So if you have 41 senators, you can stop any war appropriation. And we know the Democrats have 50 senators, 51 if you add, I think, an independent that caucuses with them. So that's something to think about. It's an interesting thing that we should be demanding of our representatives in the United States Senate. The references that Father Louis makes to this struggle being part of the larger struggle are important. We live in a society where governmental action has become extreme. We're talking about war appropriations now of $170, $80 billion. Last year it was $160-something billion, and that's under a Democratic speaker. Before the Democratic speaker took office, the year before that it was about $50 billion less dollars. These are extreme times, and I am in my politics, my humble politics, to engage in a little insurgent campaign for some, but for others, one of a certain degree of commitment, I'll say, a commitment to trying to bring actual change. We receive something, we get something from actions like Father Louis. And I've always been an admirer of his. I like that actions cannot simply be theoretical. You have to step forward and take responsibility. You have to, if your church is in the Tenderloin, if you're at St. Boniface, you have to let people come in and sleep and find respite there of some sort. And it's doing that. What does it do? It makes people notice. A chronicle writer will write it up and they'll take pictures, and other people see it and they get strength from it. Being arrested and jailed without having committed violence, people stop and wonder, well, what is it that causes any person of conscience to take that step? And so I'm here to celebrate you, and I'm honored to be a friend of yours, and it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.